Hello everyone, it's me Clayton. I just finished the season finale for What If. And after the crazy episode involving Ultron managing to get to his full potential in the season's penultimate adventure, how does the season end up? Well, it ends up with the multiverse battle that you'd expect from a multiverse of Guardians fighting off Ultron in the Battle of the Century. But let's get to the story, shall we? So the Watcher decides to finally intervene when Ultron threatens to destroy every multiverse known to man. So he manages to get Captain Peggy Carter, Thor, Killmonger, Star-Lord, and Gamora to basically team up to become the Multiverse Avengers to face Ultron and find a way to, stop him from destroying all the universes in the known multiverse. So, you might think it's pretty odd that he chose Killmonger as one of the Guardians, but it actually does make sense later down the line. So, basically, considering they had to wrap up all these different storylines in the span of like 30 minutes, it would be a difficult task for most writers. And while I don't think it's perfectly done here, I do think the way they handle it and the twist that comes after the battle itself do ultimately make this, at least well thought out in a sense. Especially since all 8 of the previous episodes were building up to this point, and they happen to tie up most of the loose ends pretty well. On top of that, the battle between our multiverse Avengers and Ultron is probably the best of the entire series. Though that's to be expected considering that this is the final battle of the first season, and it's where the last of the big it's where the last of the big parts of the budget should go to. And you can clearly tell that they were having fun here. Especially since Peggy Carter's introduction in this episode mirrors the first scene of The Winter Soldier, which is one of my favorite movies in this universe. On top of that, Arnim Zola gets to have another great moment, which I've always loved Arnim Zola from both the comics and the movies, so I appreciate that he got his just due. Peggy Carter and Black Widow get to be besties in this episode, which I thought was, I figured they would be, honestly. And, of course, Thor has a ton of funny lines, because if you have Thor, you've got to include a lot of humor with his bravado. And it was also just bittersweet to see T'Challa one last time, knowing that this was the last show he ended up doing voice work for, and he did a great job, for his final performances here. But speaking on What If as a whole, I do think that it's a series of ups and downs. There are some stories that I think are really good, and ones that would fit right into the multiverse comics, such as Doctor Strange's episode, Peggy Carter and T'Challa's episodes, and even Killmonger managing to win. But others, such as the Marvel Zombies and Thor's comedy-focused episode, did feel a little out of place, and ultimately a little rushed, and some ideas weren't allowed to fully form. I do think the short runtime didn't benefit some of these episodes fully, and some of them ultimately felt like they were kind of missed opportunities from the start. Especially since even though I highly praised the Zombies episode beforehand, I have soured on it a bit when it comes to how it could have been when you compare it to the Zombies comic and when you see how it ended up. But speaking as a whole, I do think that the writers do a lot of interesting things with these storylines, as you'd expect from a What If Adventures, and Jeffrey Wright's The Watcher is probably the version of the character that people are going to recognize the most at this point. I think he does a great job with it. So, considering the post-credit scene that happens in this episode too, I am interested in seeing what they do for a second season, because I like seeing this universe in a totally different way. So as a whole, I'll give What If an 8 out of 10. Goodbye, Watcher, and I hope to see more stories in your multiverse at some point in the future. See you next time.